Good morning, Sheep Happens family. Look what we got going on back there. It's been a struggle for about 3 days now. And I think I've got them where they're kind of almost addicted. But the positive about it is they're not up here trying to eat with their moms. They're actually, they did their little lamb zoomies around and then they head to the pen. So, step in the right direction anyway. So I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for all the nice comments on the last video. And, that was really, not like a deep dive into anything, but, it was pretty difficult to, put that out there and, to see, other farmers that actually struggle with that. But, some of them large farmers, some of them even smaller. So smaller than I should say. It is interesting to see the support that actually is in the YouTube community. So I want to take the moment and thank everyone for that. That was a little bit surprising. I was really nervous about putting out that video. But on the topic of mental health, I have a huge update coming later in this video. So make sure you stick around for that. So yeah, these guys are just munching away doing their thing. And I have to bring some bedding out. And then I'm also going to bed this pen. And this pen right here is coming out of there. And then this feeder, I'm going to clean out a little bit of it and then move it closer to the fence there. So, because that all lines up to what is coming later in this video. Just before I do that, I better feed these two pens. These mamas are getting large. I think we're about 10 days from their due date, so probably about 11 from lambs. I gotta put some bedding in this pen too, but look at that brown one right there. She's just huge. And that one over at the fence, he's got some big girls. Just pretty cool to see them exponentially growing the last couple of weeks here. Makes me super excited for lambs again. And I have a few more over at the barn than what I mentioned. I had one of the rungs on the head lockers fall out there, so I ended up, they got into this middle pen, so I was like, oh, you guys are moving to the barn anyway. So I moved, I think 6 or so extra over to the barn. So I think there's 20 over there now, and then there'll be 25 in this pen that got to come in. There's 45 in this group. And then you don't have any sheep with you for a little bit. So it's the next day here, and you may notice that I look a little bit different today. And nice new hat, nice new hoodie. Only had to spend 5 figures to get them, but huge relief to have this sitting on the yard here right now. So let me show you the hustler. Girls haven't been fed yet this morning, so they're a little upset with me. But hopefully you can hear it over their bellers. But this is the Hustler Unroller LX105. I probably do a terrible job explaining this, but what will be easier, I will show you later once I try and learn how to figure this out. But basically, it's a hydraulically driven motor that drives a motor here which allows you to disconnect these bale forks from the actual unroller itself. And then what happens is you'll pick up the bale with the forks, place it in the cradle with the twines off. Then the forks go into here, and that motor plugs into here, and it snap locks into place, and it's a whole engineered system with these feet here. Basically, this is the lever that pops it off, so that when the feet get lifted up, it pops the latch and allows you to pull the bale fork separately. Yeah, so once the bale is placed in there, you'll lock it back onto your piece of equipment, and then you just run your hydraulics, and this spins and unrolls the bale, and you can go off either the left or right side. It's a very, very simple design, and I like that because there's less parts to break then. It's super exciting that it's actually sitting in the yard right now. It may not be on a piece of equipment yet, but it is at least on farm. The design behind this system is that you can run it at a low RPM and not have to rev your RPMs, burn diesel for no reason whatsoever. It'll run at an idle, and it's just unrolling the bale. Now, there's a lot of benefits over this system versus, just a 3-point hitch bale unroller that just grabs the bale on each side, or a truck bale unroller. You'll have to ignore Maggie in the background. There's a truck loading in the background right now. But anyway, so this puts it into a nice swath when you feed in the pasture. The idea behind this is that you can fluff the hay for them so that they get all the parts accessible, but it also doesn't process the feed like a bale buster would, and again, running at high RPMs, so you're going to be using a lot more diesel. So that's basically the whole theory behind it. There's a lot of other huge positives that I liked about this company. They were really great to deal with, and I will give a shout out to Extreme Kubota in Camrose that helped me bring this in and get the proper brackets for that. So I did go with the skid steer bracket on it, so that I can put it on the skid steer if needed, and then I got an adapter plate for the Merlot to a skid steer attachments, because there'll always be a time where I'm going to want to put a skid steer attachment on that Merlot. It's called a ZM2, but the Merlot is a different plate in the front, just like a Euro to a skid steer. And anyway, I'm digressing. But yeah, pretty cool to have this sitting on the yard. So I didn't end up finishing getting this pen ready for lambs yesterday, so I got to go get that finished up. Obviously feed those girls. I might even just make them wait a hair, because if I can get those lambs outside, I can feed with this. Friends across the way are like, hey, who are you? But they'll be a little bit scared coming out here, even though they are older lambs, just because they've been secluded in the barn their whole life. So yeah, some of these guys are, I think the youngest are 2 weeks, and the oldest in this pen are about 3, maybe 3.5, somewhere in there anyway. They're the younger group from there anyway. But yeah, I'll try and explain this the best I can, even though they're bellowing their head off. I didn't want to have to clean this ground before I put them in here, because what this did was it just sprang up a bunch of manure. And because these lambs put everything in their mouth, there's, no, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure it's a bacteria, but anyway, there's Clostridium in the ground, and you end up with Clostridial infections in these lambs if they eat this dirty dirt. So I'm hoping that I don't know. I'm hoping they just don't eat a whole lot of it. I know they're going to, but their moms get a pre-lambing vaccine. They get that immunity through their colostrum. Now, I haven't given them their own vaccines yet because they're too young. And two, I didn't give any Baycox as a preventative measure. So I'm hoping, I'm crossing fingers, winging a prayer here, that it will all be okay. They're all strong, healthy lambs. There are 2 in here, like they're number 92's babies. They're not gaining like they should, so they're probably not as healthy as some of these other ones, but everybody else is healthy. So I'm hoping that we'll be okay. You know, say a prayer for me. And why I needed to change the feeder is because it was built up so much from when the ewe lambs were in here that, you know, they couldn't reach into the feed. And then it would also, you know, the lambs are going to jump into this feeder, but like they'd be able to walk in. At least this gives them, you know, a little less enticement to have to jump in there. I know they will, but, you know, it's not going to be every single one of them. It's just going to be a couple of them. In fact, one's jumped in from that end already. Now, I can't blame them for that because that end is open right now because that was part of the, in the feed alley there. Yeah, so super exciting. Get them out here. So there wasn't a big rush to get them out here. It was just, you know, it was convenient to have them inside the shop there. But, you know, now that we're getting nicer weather and everything's going in the right direction, and, you know, I'm 10 days. Oh, I can't even remember. I think 8 days away from due date on this group over here and the ones that are over in the barn already. So I need to get prepared, which, you know, entitles cleaning the barn, making sure that I separate ones that don't have an udder yet. They need to go into this shop because there's going to be 45 in the barn. That'll be too many. So I'll pull 10 or so that do not have any udder development yet. I'll pull them into the shop here, which means I got to clean the shop and get the feeders built in there. So yeah, I've got a lot to do. I'm so far behind, I think I'm ahead, but I'm going to focus on just getting these guys all settled in out here. And you know, we're predicted to be above 0 for like 2 weeks straight here. So I'm hoping this will just dry out quickly and, you know, there won't be too many issues with it, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. But this will give me an opportunity to get these other things done that need to get done, like cleaning out the shop, cleaning out the barn, and getting prepared for more lambs. Up. I don't think I wrecked anything though. Yeah, I pinched that hose down in there. Those were supposed to come out over the top. Oh, of course, my luck. Well, luckily it didn't look like I hurt the hose at all. So that's positive. But yeah, there's a better look at that system where it locks into holding against each other to turn the motor. Very, very simple. You know, strong iron. It's hopefully not going to break. You know, that was what sold me on this machine, was the simplicity. So you guys are coming along for the first go of this. So if anything goes wrong, at least I'll have a witness that I'm a screw up sometimes. But yeah, we're hooked up, so let's get going. So, first impression with silage. I have no idea what I'm doing, but one of the main problems with this is that I actually had ordered this hustler with a deflector for bunk feeding. Long story short, the salesman's pretty busy and it got forgotten. It's all good. It was a very expensive add-on and for what it is, so I am going to try and build my own. It's just basically a bracket and then puckboard attached to it, so I can get puckboard at the local egg store, and a bracket is not that hard to weld up and drill some holes. But I definitely missed the bunk line, but I didn't have the room to get it over, if that makes sense. I could have turned the machine way up and threw out a ton extra silage, and it probably would have got figured out, but I wanted to go close and go slow just so I didn't feed too much while I'm getting used to this. So, but yeah, other than throwing a few little chunks over, and my operator error, I'm gonna have to go check that lamb. He's laying there with his little ears down, so hopefully he's not sick. But yeah, I chucked a little bit over, had a few little mishaps, but overall that was a heck of a lot easier than trying to fork those silage bales when they're frozen. You okay, little buddy? Did you just play yourself out? Huh? He's the youngest lamb in this group, and he was running around. Yeah, I think he just played himself out. Oh, it's kind of an odd stretch, buddy. We'll keep an eye on you. You're not looking 100%. You don't look sick either, but you're kind of ganted up there. He is the youngest one in this pen, though, so probably has a full belly and got tired. I seen him in the creep pen, so I wonder if he just didn't fill up on the creep a little too much. Because everything's melting, these guys are getting dirty little hooves, and then they jump on each other, so they're looking rather dirty. Even these ones are now dirty too. They were running. They have found underneath that wood over there where they're standing is a pit, and they found the wood to make noise with. So they're enjoying playing in there. They were playing in the trailer. They were doing lamb zoomies, but again, I was in the skid steer, so I couldn't get good view of it. But yeah, I think they're happy to be outside. Lucky little sheep that they are. But thanks for tuning in, and yeah, you'll get to see lots of this hustler working. Very, very happy with the machine. The other thing, I did get it on a, they called it a Black Friday deal. So I did get $1,500 off of it, but the other thing that sold me on it was the price point. It is, as you guys know, I am a small farmer here at only 120 ewes. So the price point is a big thing. Now, yes, the Merlot cost a whole bunch, but if you have a skid steer in smaller bales, there's no reason you couldn't make it work with that, or a really heavy pound skid steer. Some of these newer ones, they're upwards of 3,000, 3,500 pounds, so you'd be fine. But mine being a mid-sized machine, it doesn't have the capabilities. So that was why the Merlot, but also the Merlot was for the PTO attachment. So anyway, we're digressing again. So thank you for tuning into this video, and look forward to more hustler content and lambs in another week. But I'll probably have videos out before then, because take you guys all along for all the prep that comes along with lambing. But thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.